Hi. Yes, it is the middle of August, basically. And yes, I am only now doing a Q2 reading wrap up. It has been a busy Q2. Q2 means the beginning of summer, which is the busiest season for me at work. However, looking at the numbers and the stats from my reading for Q2, the fact that it is the busiest season for me at work did not at all affect my reading. If you watched my wrap up of Q1, which I will link down below, I delusionally said that I would be able to wrap up every single book I read in Q2 because I probably wasn't going to read as much as I did in quarter one. Well, I lied. Let's jump right into the stats for Q2. These stats are taken from Storygraph, so thank you Storygraph, not sponsored, but love you. From April through June, I read 58 books. That's only 14 books less than quarter one. I read a lot, okay? I don't know what else to tell you. Reading is my coping mechanism for anything, really, especially in the time that we live in, the economy that we live in. Reading is truly my only way to get through life. I could have bigger problems than reading too much, so we're not going to dwell on the fact that I read 58 books in the span of 3 months during the busiest season of the year for me. Page number, 22% of the books were under 300 pages. 67% were 300 to 499 pages. And then 10%, which is approximately 6 books, were 500 pages and above. The top 5 genres I read from were romance, contemporary fiction, fantasy, LGBTQIA+, it was Pride Month, and literary fiction. All right, format, which is my favorite stat, because this year I have said multiple times that my goal is to read more physically, whether it be a physical book or on my Kindle on an ebook. Only 29% of the books that I read were through audiobook, 31% were digital on my Kindle, and 40% were physical. So I'm very excited and happy that more than 50% of the books that I've been reading in quarter two were physical books. My average star rating for Q2 is 3.91 stars, which to me is great. Round that up to 4 stars. I had a pretty good reading quarter. I'm pretty happy about that because that means I am honing in and reading more of the books that I genuinely love and have genuine interest in. Those are my stats for Q2. Because I read 58 books, I will not be going through every single book that I read. I will be going through the highs and the lows and the in-betweens. I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I can because there are a lot of books to go through. We are going to start off with the best books that I read in Q2. The first book that was a 5 out of 5 stars, without a doubt. And also the most beautiful book that I currently own in my collection that isn't even a special edition. And that is When the Tides Held the Moon by Vanessa Vida Kelly. This book, the physical book itself, is truly a work of art. The author Vanessa is also an illustrator, and she designed all of the artwork for this book. If you go inside, these are the end papers. Can you believe? And you'll see there are illustrations all throughout the book. I'll show you my favorite one of the characters in here having dinner. Where in the fuck is it? Look at that. Gorgiana. Look how cute all the characters are together. This book is set in 1910 in New York City, and we follow a guy named Benny. He is from Puerto Rico, and he is a blacksmith. He meets the showrunner for a sideshow of a cast of characters who have different abilities and different talents, and he's tasked with making a cage for their newest talent that they're going to acquire. That talent turns out to be a real-life mermaid. The mermaid is captured and ends up being basically imprisoned in this cage that Benny has built, and it is a romance between Benny and the merman. And the found family with Benny and the rest of the chaotic cast of characters is everything to me. This was heartwarming. It was also heartbreaking, but it was really wholesome and sweet, and I absolutely loved it. Beautiful writing, beautiful illustrations, and just a stunning book overall. I actually read the arc of it, and the minute that it dropped, I had to go and get a physical copy because this book is stunning in and out. That is When the Tides Held the Moon by Vanessa Vita Kelly. The next 5-star read goes to my queen, Tara DeWitt. This is Left of Forever. This is a second chance romance between a couple who is divorced. They had a son when they were in high school, and now that son is going to college, and they take a road trip to go and take him to and from college, and they fall back in love as they go on this journey. This was so good. I can't even describe to you the level of tension and angst in this book because these two characters belong together. They are still very much in love with one another. And the things that they do for each other, I have nothing else to say, but 5 out of 5 stars. Pick this up. You won't regret it. Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. The next book is without a doubt going to be on the best books of the year once I do my end of the year wrap up, and that is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. This is a standalone fantasy, the most unique fantasy book I've ever read in my life. It is told in all 3 perspectives. You have first person, second person, and third person, and you are told this narrative that is both in a dreamlike state and also reality. There's history, there's mythology, there is such good character development, and the plot keeps you engaged and intrigued, and you want to know what is going to happen to these characters, what is going to happen in this story. It is unlike any other book that I've ever read. Truly unique, very underrated. I think everyone needs to go out and read this if you are interested at all in fantasy. This also proved to me how fantasy authors can still break the mold of the typical cliche tropes that are out there in the fantasy genre, because this is, like I said, one of a kind. There is no other book like this. This was phenomenal, stunning, brilliant. You need to read it. The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. Okay, next up, 5 out of 5 stars. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I'm not going to go into too much detail with this one because I think there is enough discourse online and social media about this book. I am on the fan side of it. I really loved this book. I actually think it is my second favorite Emily Henry book, my first being Book Lovers. That book will never be dethroned. I really enjoyed this. I know everyone says that it is a carbon copy of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I personally didn't think that it was. I thought it had its own spin on it, and I adored the romance between the two characters. Does it have its flaws? Absolutely. But you can't deny that Emily Henry knows what she's doing. The woman knows how to write, she knows how to tell a story, and she knows how to do it well. Okay? She knows what she's doing. There's a reason why she is a #1 best-selling author. I understand why people have their gripes about this book, and I know where they're coming from. However, for me personally, I still really enjoyed it. I loved this book. I got through it, I think, in a span of 48 hours. It was so good. And yeah, one of the best books I read in Q2. Ugh! The next book. I was on a roll with romances this quarter because the next book, girl, let me tell you, Can't Get Enough by the one, the only Kennedy Ryan. No one's doing it like her. Truly, no one is doing it like my girl Kennedy. Oh my God. This book had me crying, shitting, throwing up, kicking my feet, squealing like a pig. Oh my God. This is the third book in, what series is this called? Because I did not read the second book, but I read the first book. I think it's like the Skyland series. Sorry, my dog is in here, so that's why you hear heavy breathing. Yes, can I help you? Like I said, this is a third book in the series. It follows Hendrix, who is a badass businesswoman. She is iconic. She's in her, I think, late 30s or early 40s. She's a woman who knows herself, all right? She puts her career first. She loves what she does. She cares for the people in her life, and she doesn't want kids. She is who I want to be when I'm her age, okay? She's iconic. She is the moment. Then you have her romance with Maverick Bell. And Maverick Bell, babe, smash. Immediate smash. Maverick Bell. Wow. What a man. What a man. What a man. What a mighty good man. He's my ideal man. He also doesn't want kids. He is a millionaire. Is he a millionaire or a billionaire? I don't know. But the man is super successful too. He's a businessman. Him and Hendrix are both like at the same level, which is what they needed, because they are both hardworking and dedicated to their careers and their jobs and what they do, what they love. They needed someone that was on that level, and these two are on each other's level. He's caring, he's compassionate. The things that he did for her, the way that this man worshiped the ground that she walked on, he literally, word for word, looked into her eyes and asked if she would let him treat her like the goddess that she is. I am not kidding. The things that this man did for her. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. These two have my whole heart. They are everything to me. Maverick is the love of my life, and Hendrix is the goal. I want to be her. This is a thick book. There's a lot of emotional depth that these characters have. There's a lot of drama and trauma that they go through in this book, but the payoff is absolutely incredible. They're amazing. This book was everything to me. One of the best books I read for the entire year. I loved it so much. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. All right, next we have Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This is the first S.A. Cosby book I've ever read. And oh, wow. Here you have two dads whose sons were married, and they are on the hunt to find the people who killed their sons. Mind you, this takes place in a really small backcountry town, so these dads were homophobic at first. There's a lot of homophobia here. There are very heavy topics and themes explored in this, but the way that the author told that story and the redemption arc and the character development until the end, flawless, brilliant. Loved this. This was gut-wrenching. This was gut-wrenching. I teared up a few times. You will feel every emotion. You will feel all 5 stages of grief reading this book. Please check trigger and content warnings before you read this. There's a lot going on in here, but brilliant, brilliant writing. Devastating, but God, this was such a good book. Atmosphere. The woman knows how to pull at your heartstrings, make you sob till you are ugly crying, and still give the book 5 stars. Okay, that's what this was. I'm sure you've seen this book everywhere. Believe the hype. This book was incredible. NASA, astronauts, emotional trauma, sapphic. Yeah. This was the one, babes. This was the one. I cried probably 17 times in this book. I cried so much reading this book, and I don't regret a single tear. Okay, 5 out of 5 stars. Very addicting. I could not put this book down. I kept wanting to know what would happen, and that's the thing about Taylor's writing. She will grip you in a chokehold until you finish her book. 5 out of 5 stars. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. All right, last book in the best book category, Daydream by Hannah Grace. Listen to me, okay? I read Icebreaker way back in the day and really loved it. Never continued the series until this year. I finished the entire Maple Hills series. We're gonna get to the first 2 in a minute, but Daydream, babe, Henry, this book is the perfect example of what healthy, clear communication in a relationship truly is. These 2 characters were honest and earnest with each other in a way that I have not seen in a romance book in a really long time, maybe ever. And the fact that they are both in college is wild to me, because they were emotionally mature for the most part in ways that a lot of romance books with characters that are 34 years old could never, ever even reach. Okay. Really enjoyed this. Like I said, healthy, clear communication. I loved every second of this. The things that Henry did for Hallie, like I said, older men they know nothing about this. They know nothing about this. They know nothing about it. Yeah, this was so romantic, so sweet, so innocent, and I loved every page of this. I can't even tell you how much I love this. I know people have their issues, not just with this book, but this series in general, and we'll talk about the rest of the series later, but this book specifically, I loved this book. Wow, this was so good. 5 out of 5 stars. I have to say, 5 out of 5 stars. Not without its problems, but between the 2 main characters, wow. Really great romance, in my opinion. Daydream by Hannah Grace. All right, let's get to the fun part, which are the worst books that I read in Q2. And we're starting off strong with Julie Chan is Dead. And the reason why this was on the worst books is because what even was this? I read the arc of it before it came out, and I thought it was going to be a really cool mystery thriller about these two twins separated at birth, giving very much Parent Trap. One of them dies, the other takes their place. Yeah, this turned into some distorted wellness cult type of story with the most outrageous scenarios. It was giving very much Midsommar at one point, and I didn't like any character, didn't like the plot, didn't like any of it. Okay, so kind of disappointed about this one, but didn't like it, wasn't a fan. Julie Chan is Dead. Next, we have The Retirement Plan by Sue Hinsenbergs. I was excited for this one because the premise is a group of women who want to kill their husbands and get their life insurance because their husbands are deadbeats and they're awful and they contribute to nothing good in their lives. What I got instead was a string of unbelievable scenarios where everything worked out in the end way too well, you know, to the point where I couldn't suspend my level of disbelief because of just how insane everything was happening. And it took me out of it. And the most unserious part about all of it was that in the end, the women all took back these men. Okay. 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 This was a flop. The next book is The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club by Gloria Chow. Now, this one, I also had high hopes because this sounded like a very fun premise, giving very much John Tucker Must Die, in which these three women all find out that they're dating the same man. They decide to take revenge on him, and he ends up dead. Right up my alley. I'm here for that mess. I was ready for this mess. When they first meet, these three women basically don't even grieve the relationship that they've had with this man and immediately become best friends. And what really pissed me off was how immature they were when they were dealing with their revenge. They literally broke into this man's house and smeared dog shit everywhere and rubbed his toothbrush on their armpits, on their ass crack. I was like, are we at a 12-year-old boy's slumber party? Because what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You are grown-ass women and this is how you're gonna take revenge out on the man? There are worse ways that are better ways to get revenge that don't involve acting like you are a 12-year-old boy. Do you know what I mean? Other than that, it was very surface level. The characters very flat, very boring. It was just boring. Yeah, just boring. For a premise that I thought was going to be really fun, it was not. So that's The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club by Gloria Chow. Okay, here we go. Icebreaker and Wildfire. Now, Icebreaker, I reread. It was not as good as I remember it being. When I first read it, I gave it 4 stars. This one was pushing at a 3-star when I reread it, okay? I still to this day love the friendships and the relationships outside the romance in this. I definitely think there were healthy portrayals of hookup culture and friendships in college, and I love that aspect of it. Was the romance as good as I remember? Not at all. It was still a fun time. I read it for nostalgia reasons, and I got what I wanted out of it. Wildfire was a dumpster fire. That's truly what it was. This was one of, if not the worst book I read this year. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that this series had one of the worst books I read this year and one of the best books I read this year. That range in one series is crazy, first of all. But this book was so bad. So bad. So bad. I think because, one, it took place over a summer camp. The first and last book takes place on a college campus. And I think that's what makes it better. I think the author that is her thing. That's her niche. She does good on college campuses. At this summer camp, what the fuck were we doing at summer camp? Hated it. The kids were annoying. We followed Russ, who wasn't even really a huge character in the first book. So I'm truly confused as to how he managed to get his own book. There were a handful of other characters that the author could have chosen to write a book for. And she chose the most boring wallflower character that we barely saw in the first book to have an entire romance book for. And his romance sucked. The girl, I don't even remember her name. That's how boring and how forgettable the whole book was. I don't remember anything about this book. I just remember hating every second of it. It was so bad. So yeah, that's Icebreaker and Wildfire. Oh my god. Okay, the last book in this worst book category is Crash Test by Amy. What is her name? Amy. Why do I want to say Amy Adams? I know it's not that. Crash Test, Amy James. This is, first of all, this cover eats. All right, those pinkies touching. Yeah, into it. This is an F1 MM romance, and that should have been enough for me, because that right there, up my alley. MM, sports romance, F1. Yeah, that's it. That's all I need. This was awful. There were a lot of things happening in this book. None of them good. None of them good. The thing that really sucked was that the first chapter hooks you in so well. The first chapter is chef's kiss, okay? You are hooked. You are drawn in from the first chapter. After that, everything goes downhill, okay? So the gist of this book is one character is in F1, the other is in F2 trying to get into F1. The racer that is in F2 gets in the huge crash. No one knows in their personal lives and in the public that these two are together. And by together, I mean they're hooking up, because there isn't actually a relationship for them to grab onto. God, and there was so much drama that happened, but these characters lacked any chemistry because they barely had any interactions before the huge crash. So the romance wasn't believable. The F2 character had a lot of repressed homophobia, especially because of the way that he grew up. And there were chances for the author to do and explore a lot with the topics and the events that happened, and none of it was expanded at all. It was very surface level. Yeah, it ended up being a flop for me. I know I'm not the only one. I read very similar reviews to what I gave. That was a flop for me. I'm really sad about it. If there are any F1 romances that you guys can recommend, please let me know, because now that I've read that, I have a craving for it, and it needs to be satiated. I need to be satisfied, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find a really good F1 romance. That was Crash Test by Amy James. The next category of books that we are going to get into are surprising/shocking books. And these are books that either had surprising moments or shocking moments in them, or I was surprised by how much I loved them or hated them. Okay? The first book is All She Ever Wanted by Sarah Lamardo. This was a shock to me because I picked this up randomly at a independent bookstore in Utah. Never heard of this book, never heard of this author. It is a standalone about a girl who falls in love with a pirate. Takes place in the Regency era. You have an independent queen who knows what she wants, knows who she is, and when it was time for her to make her debut into society, she literally told her aunt that she would rather be a spinster like her than end up with any of these bummy, crusty ass men. And honestly, good for her. Good for her. She didn't want to settle for anyone that wasn't her pirate lover. Okay? I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I did because, again, I'd never heard anything about this book or this author before, but now I am a fan. I will read anything this author writes. I really love the writing. I love the pacing of this. There was high sea adventure, romance, found family, anything that has to do with pirates. That's my thing. I'm your girl. Okay? I'm your girl. I ate this up, really enjoyed it. All She Ever Wanted by Sarah Lamardo. Next shocking book, Disappoint Me by Nicola Danan. This book is about a half-Asian trans woman who is figuring out life, dating, herself. This author's writing, truly remarkable. This author was able to capture so many vignettes and moments in life that I really couldn't put into words to describe those moments, but this author managed to do it. Really love the writing. What shocked me was A, how much I liked it. B, the events that occurred in here. Yeah. Jaw dropped, babe. Jaw dropped. Wow. Check your content warnings. Check your trigger warnings. There are a lot, but loved this. A new favorite author of mine. If you haven't read this book already or were interested, this is your sign now to go read this book. This was phenomenal. Okay, the next book. The God and the Guisin by Sophie Kim. Now, listen, the reason why this book is a surprising shocker book is because I did not know. I was taken aback at how emotional I was going to be reading this book. This is the second book in, I don't even know how many books are going to be in the series, but the first book was The God and the Gumiho. This is the second book. And this follows This follows, I can't even really describe it without spoiling anything, but basically it follows the effects of what happened from the first book. You have reincarnated mates. And this book was just so sad and so emotional, so angsty. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to cry as much as I did in this book. Okay, I was not expecting that, but I did shed tears. I did shed tears. This was emotional. This was emotional. 5 out of 5 stars. All right, next we have Someday Someday by Emma Scott. I've never read an Emma Scott book that I didn't cry at. Okay, I've cried for every single book I've read from her. I don't think I'll ever stop. I'm pretty sure I will cry for every book that I read from her from now on. This is an MM romance. These characters are traumatized, okay? Traumatized. Check your trigger warnings, please. There are so many. All you have to know is that there's emotional trauma, 2 men that love each other, destined to be together. The world is trying to pull them apart and they keep coming back to each other. That's all I'm gonna say. Cried my eyes out, cried my eyes out, cried my eyes out. Read it. Someday Someday by Emma Scott. She's a Lamb by Meredith Hambrock. This one was shocking because this character, as you can see from the cover, she's delusional, babe. Delusional, unhinged, and we have to stand. Loved her. Jessamine, she is a thespian. She's an actress in the theater. She is the understudy for Maria in a regional production of The Sound of Music. She believes that she is only the understudy because the universe is going to make something happen for the main actress to not be on stage, and she will then take the reins of the role as Maria. That's all I'm gonna say. Insane. Very unlikable character, has her flaws, and I still loved her. Okay? She was an icon to me. I'm sorry. She's an icon to me, okay? There's a lot going on with her. You can't help but empathize with her. Unlikable, but endearing, you know? That is She's a Lamb by Meredith Hambrock. Primary Trust by Ebony Booth. The reason why this is shocking is because this is the second play that I read this year, and it blew me away just as much as the first play that I read this year did. I was not expecting to love it as much, but I got this at Dog-Eared Books in San Francisco, and the reason why I even picked it up was because there was this little sign from the employees that read there recommending this, and what they said about it was, there are so rarely plays about kindness, and I promise you, none of them are as gorgeous as this one. And I even asked the employees if I could keep this because this pretty much sums up what this play was. It is a story about kindness, empathy, compassion for your fellow neighbor. I would say go into this blind because there is a plot twist that I personally did not see coming. Very emotional, but very wholesome. Loved this so much. I would love to see this acted out. I would love to see the actual play on stage because I know I would be sobbing in my seat. Okay? But really great. Primary Trust by Ebony Booth. Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. I'm going to keep this brief. Shocking because this is about a woman who is sexually attracted to planes. She also believes the way that a plane will be her true soulmate is through a plane crash. I'm going to leave it at that. This book was insane. Also, I travel for work and my primary airport is the SFO airport, and this takes place at the SFO airport, and I will never look at the planes there the same again. So, Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. All right, next is Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This was a shock to me because, one, I DNF Done and Dusted, and I stand by that. Did not like that book, did not vibe with that book, thought that book was so boring. 2, this put me back in my cowboy era. This rekindled my love for cowboy romances. I thought the author's writing wasn't for me based off of Done and Dusted. I don't know what she put in this book. Probably cocaine. I could not stop reading this book. Wes and Ada have my whole heart. Oh my god. This is still my favorite book out of the series. This book, the romance was so sweet. I wasn't expecting to love this after DNFing the first book. But really ate it up. And I have to give a shout out to my friend Ichan, who is the reason why me and my other friend picked this up. We were not expecting to fall in love with this as much as we did, but this was so good. and she's really the one that pushed us to read it. So this is dedicated to her. Swift and Saddle by Lila Sage. The last section of this video is going to be me updating you on the series that I've been reading. One of my goals for this year has been to get through as many series as I possibly can that are on my physical TBR, because I'm trying to cut down my physical TBR, okay? And in quarter 2, I completed the Saint of Steel series by T. Kingfisher. This is a 4-book series. Each book follows a different paladin. Their god has died, and this is them trying to pick up the pieces of their life, because what do they do now without their god? Each book follows their romance as well. I loved the series so much. T. Kingfisher's fantasy romance books are very underrated. This series, Sword Heart, The Clockwork Boys duology, so good. So good, so good, so good. They all take place in the same world, actually. I've been wanting to read this series for a really long time. These covers, stunning. I also need to get the Orbit UK covers, because those covers I need in my hands immediately. They're giving vintage fantasy covers. Love, love, love them. Yeah, I really enjoyed this series. Each book was range between 4 to 4.5 stars. Really great books to read if you want romantasy, but leaning more towards fantasy, because the romance is a very slow burn in these books. Very slow burn, which I love. I think there is a very rich world outside of the romance in these books. Really fun characters. They're all following a different quest or adventure, and I just loved it. I just love this series. Really, really good. I definitely want to reread in the future, because now to me this is my cozy fantasy romance series. Just a feel-good palate cleanser, you know? So that is the Saint of Steel series by T. Kingfisher that I have now officially checked off my list. All right, the other series that I finished in quarter 2 was the Gentleman Bastard series. This is a series that follows mainly 2 con artists, and they're conning their way through each city and each book that they go through. The second book in the series, which is Red Seas Under Red Skies, was my personal favorite because it took place on a ship, which means pirates and high seas adventures, and you guys know how I feel about that. This was such a fun series. Really great character work. Loved the world building, the different plots and plot twists, and the way that everything worked out. So good, so good. Such a fun series. Definitely a new favorite of mine. 5 out of 5 stars for the series in general. I think it was just very engaging, and I really love the character work. I also listened to the audiobook while I read the books, and that was a truly immersive experience. But I loved hearing the different voices that the narrator did, and really bringing these characters in this world to life. Definitely enhanced my reading experience of this series. So if you are planning on reading it, I suggest listening and reading at the same time. That's definitely the way to go, because it'll just elevate the entire reading experience for you. So that is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. I also started in Q2 but finished in July, which is the first month of Q3, the Lady Charlotte's Society of Angels series, which is basically Charlie's Angels in Regency era. Iconic. Each book follows a different angel and her romance. This is really the year of historical romance for me. Before this year, I hardly ever read historical romance because I didn't think it was going to be for me. And my friend Echan has been like influencing all of my books this year. She gushed about this series, and I thought, you know, I'll just read it because I love Charlie's Angels, and the fact that it's set in Regency era, iconic. The author, Grace Calloway, is also Asian, and she is local in the Bay Area, so I love to support any authors of color and also local authors. That's even more reason for me to love this series. But other than that, I really love the characters in this. Like I said, each book follows the angels, their romance, different tropes, but I love the world. I loved the characters. It's just such a fun time, okay? Such a fun time. I could turn my brain off. These were also very spicy. I was not expecting historical romance to be as spicy as it is. I think what I really love about historical romances, the ones that I've read so far at least, they just bring yearning back. There isn't a lot of insta-love or insta-lust because these characters truly have to get to know one another and see each other at their worst before anything that even resembles a relationship happens. That's truly what I have been missing in romances lately, especially in contemporary, traditionally published romances. There is no yearning. All of it is insta-love, all of it is insta-lust. And I think I was just burnt out from that. These historical romances really brought yearning back for me, and that is truly what I'm enjoying most about these books. So that is Lady Charlotte's Society of Angels series by Grace Calloway. Oh my god, you guys, I'm gonna crash out talking about the series The last series in Q2 that I started, but I'm still reading and ongoing because the series has at this point now 9 books, and I believe there's a 10th book coming out next year. This series has become my new obsession. I'm on the 5th book now. Truly, I cannot talk about this series without crashing out. This series has become my entire personality. It has become a part of who I am. These characters are everything to me. Writing, phenomenal. Each story follows its own mystery and adventure, and I can't put these books down. And that is the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. Oh my God. This is the first book, A Curious Beginning. I am truly only getting through the year because of this series, okay? Veronica, who is a lepidopter, how do you say it? She's a lepidopterist. I had to look that up, which means she is an expert in butterflies. She is a scientist of butterflies. She hunts them. She travels around the world to hunt the exotic and rare species of butterflies, and she's an expert in her field. She teams up with a man named Stoker, who he's a lot of things. He used to be in the Navy, I believe. He used to be a surgeon in the Navy, and he also is a taxidermist. So he's just as intelligent and brilliant as Veronica. And the two of them team up together to solve these mysteries. There is a lot more to it than that, but the main reason why I am crashing out about this series is because of Veronica and Stoker, okay? Talk about slow burn. These two, in the first 3 books, building the foundation, creating a genuine friendship and respect for one another. The 4th book, I can't even talk about the 4th book. I really can't even talk about the 4th book. But if you've read this series, please comment or DM me because I need to talk about this series with someone. I am fully crashing out. This series has brought yearning back, slow burn, and yearning. Yeah. Also, Veronica is probably my favorite character that I've read this year. I love her so much. This series is my favorite series of all time now. It's become my favorite series of all time. That's how much I love this series, okay? And I haven't even finished it yet. It's not even finished yet. The author hasn't even written the last book yet. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series, but I'm so glad there's more than 1 or 2 books. There's 9 books for me to binge until the 10th one comes out. Absolutely obsessed with this series. You need to read this series. It is, like I said, my favorite series of all time now. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Okay, thanks for sticking with me throughout that entire video. That is my reading wrap up for Q2, April through June. Let me know what your favorite books of the year are so far. Also, let me know what your worst books of the year are so far too, so I can avoid them and take them off my TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!